the review here, let's just go ahead and deal with all of 12 to 17 just because it all goes together. When first off, it says on what interval is the graph increasing? So we have a few places that we need to take care of as far as when we have, like when it crosses the x-axis at a few places, and then when it has a maximum value or a minimum value. Okay, so remember your minimum and your maximum values are basically like when that interval is here and here. So when is the graph increasing? When is it climbing? From where to where? From -4 to 1/2, right? So are those values included? No, because if it hits the peak, then it's not doing either one. Okay? So then whenever we talk about it decreasing, it's basically going to be the other spots, right? So from, okay, even if it's going down, so it's still coming from negative infinity to the -4, and then from the 1/2 to positive infinity. Remember, with any of your intervals, you should always have one that has a negative infinity and then one that has a positive infinity. They may be the same value, okay, or they may be both increasing or both decreasing. It just depends. Okay, but you're going to have all of those values in there. Now, whenever we talk about when the interval is, when f of x is greater than 0, so basically that is when it is above, okay, that's when you're going to deal with when it's above the x-axis, so basically everything up here, and then it's when it's above your x-axis. So in this case, we have 2 of each. So when's the first interval when it's above, what is your x value when it's above the x-axis? There in orange. Basically from here back. Where's it coming from? Negative infinity? Negative infinity to where? 6. -6. Okay. And then when is it above 0? From where to where? From -2 to +3. What's basically everything that's left. So with any of these intervals, the biggest thing that you've got to make sure is with any of your intervals, you're always talking about your x value, and it's always going to go from negative infinity to positive infinity somehow, some way. Okay, so if it goes from negative infinity to -6, then in this little bowl here that's down here in the purple, okay, so where's my first one going to be at? From where to where is it below 0? From -6 to the -2, right? And then where's the second part? Basically from -3 and on, or excuse me, +3. So from +3 to positive infinity. Okay, with any of like 14 and 15, 12 and 13, it's going to have to go from negative infinity to positive infinity. Now, again, just like we had with the increasing and decreasing, why is -6 not included, -2 not included, and +3 not included in that statement? Why don't we have a bracket around, like, why are these parentheses and not brackets? Any ideas? It said because it's not equal to 0. Because when is it above 0? When is it below 0? Okay, not when it is 0. So like whenever we talk about our zeros after the break, we'll talk about -6, -2, and +3. Okay, but for right now, those zeros are where it's either, like, that's where it's right on the line. Okay, not where it's above or below. Now, the next part then is the leading coefficient positive or negative. So, where do we need to look as far as to know if it is positive or negative? What side of my graph do I always want to look at? The right side. So, which way is the right side going? Down. So, is it going to be positive or negative? Okay, the right side always tells me if it's positive or negative. And then, what degree does the polynomial appear to be? Third power, right? Why do we go with 3? Because how many times does it change directions? 3 times, right? Okay. If we go with how many times it changes directions, that's going to be a good indicator. Okay, 2 down, 1 up, so we're going to go with 3. Now, it could be 5, it could be 7, but for the most part, we're going to go with what we have there.